Good morning. You're watching DeProgram with Ted Rall and John Kiriakou. John Kiriakou is, as promised, wearing
As promised.
SpongeBob SquarePants.
How would you like to come out of a coma and look at that? Yeah, baby.
I don't know. I might find it.
USA.
I might like it. You know, I like SpongeBob. It's Thursday, January 22nd. I might think I was in heaven. 2026. We are here 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday. Thanks for joining us. Please like, follow, and share the show. Thank you for your support for Robbie Aid, which is fulfilled a while back, and we'll be back asking on February 1st. But I posted up in the countdown, and just in case anyone wants to throw a little extra scratch Robbie's way, which he, I know, much appreciates. Busy day today. We're going to be talking about all things ICE. Geraldo Lunas Campos was a Cuban detainee being held at a ICE detention camp in El Paso. He was asphyxiated. He was choked and throttled to death by ICE guards, according to the county medical examiner down there in Texas. Meanwhile, the feds call it a suicide. It's like Epstein. 5-year-old Pre-K student Liam Ramos was arrested and detained by ICE. He was used as bait to catch his dad. USA indeed. The Supreme Court has ruled that, is likely to rule, I should say, that Trump can't fire Fed member Lisa Cook. We'll get into that. Apparently, the Greenland crisis is, for the time being, resolved. We'll talk about what exactly that means. And the Clintons, both Bill and Hill, are both in contempt of Congress. That was a bipartisan vote over their refusal to testify in the Epstein investigation. And of course, please send in your questions, comments, etc. Put them in the live chat on Rumble and YouTube, and John and I will answer them. Big storm coming in, by the way, this affecting half the country this weekend.
No, 280 million people are going to be affected by this storm.
The vast majority of Americans. Yeah. So if this is true, it could end just being like one of those lies. Anyway, do you want to talk about one of these news stories, or should we get to the questions first?
Yeah, let's knock off a news story or two. First of all, the Clintons. Shame, shame, shame on the Clintons. They think they're so special that contempt of Congress doesn't apply to them because they're special. Ted, how many times have we said, all you have to do is go up there and say, I decline to answer your questions on the grounds that it may incriminate me, or I don't recall. That's all you have to do.
Right.
Now they're risking 4, 5, 6 months in the DC jail.
Do you think that's going to happen?
I think that they'll probably end up coming to some silly agreement, which a normal American would not have access to. Right?
Yeah, that's
if
the
you
part
and I
that's
did
really
it,
resentful.
Yeah.
No. I mean, when you say they think they're special, that's because they are special. They have special privileges. They don't have to follow the same laws that we do.
That's right. They do have special privileges.
And so,
right.
And it sucks. And
Yes,
frankly, Epstein's victims deserve better out of respect for, I mean, honestly, I got to say, if I were advising former President Clinton, I would say, and his wife, I would say, you guys need to tell what you know. I mean, you should really just shed as much light on this situation as you possibly can.
That's it. It's that easy, truly.
I mean, look, I got to say this, I was on the fence as to whether Bill partook.
Yes.
Now I'm not on the fence anymore.
No, this is a cover-up. It's an attempt at a cover-up. If they had no information and Bill didn't know, then all they have to do is go up there and say, I have no information. I didn't know anything was going on.
I went there. I had margaritas. I had
exactly.
drinks with umbrellas in them. I enjoyed the beach. I had good conversations.
Exactly.
I never saw anything untoward.
Yes, that's it. It's as simple as that. It's one day, and then all you do otherwise is refuse to answer questions. That's it.
Yeah, it would also give him an opportunity to make a statement talking about how sad he was for the victims and all that.
That's right.
So yeah, it's not a good look at all. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, so I guess the thing is now this is so effectively, if they appear in DC, you tell me, you're there in the district. Does this mean that if they set foot in the District of Columbia, that Metropolitan or Capitol Police are looking at them and are going to nab them?
They're going to have to. The law is actually kind of funny. It dates back to like the late 1700s. The law is that the Secretary of the Senate, even if this takes place in the House, the Secretary of the Senate has to lead the Metropolitan Police or the Capitol Police to take them and to forcibly deliver them to Capitol Hill.
Now, can they contact Chappaqua PD, and not too far from where I am, and extradite them from Chappaqua?
Probably. And funny thing too is, to the best of my knowledge, they still own a giant mansion up in Colorama off of Embassy Row. Like this $8-10 million mansion that they've had for years since Clinton left the presidency. So
I thought they were broke back then. Is that the house that what's his name from Virginia, Terry McAuliffe, that he helped them buy?
That's right. That is right.
Yeah, that paid off well for the Clintons anyway. I don't know if it paid off well for Terry McAuliffe.
Hey, I wanted to interrupt you for a second too, and say that the bigger news is that as we speak, the Academy Award nominations are being announced.
They're out. Yeah, I was going to pick your brain about that. Any thoughts? It looks like Sinners is currently
the number one,
has the most nominations. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to brag again and say that because I have my Screen Actors Guild membership, I've been watching my screeners, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of the Best Picture nominees, I've only watched Frankenstein, which was absolutely fantastic.
Is that what you voted for?
No.
Okay.
I voted for Begonia.
Really? I haven't seen it. I saw that it's. I saw it on my feed on my I think HBO or whatever.
Don't miss it. Emma Stone, she's great in everything she's in. Jesse Plemons has really won me over. I liked him in Breaking Bad, and then
he's fantastic. He's
done so many different things. He got really fat for a thing that he did on Black Mirror, where he was like commander of a spaceship.
Yeah, that's a fantastic episode.
Really fat. And I thought, oh my God, the guy's just going to pot. How did he let his body get like that? Turned out he did that for the role.
Oh, I'm sure.
And now he's thin to the point of where you wonder if he's sick in Begonia. He was brilliant in Begonia. And then I watched Blue Moon. Hated it.
Haven't seen it.
Just hated it.
What's Blue Moon?
So self-congratulatory. It was about Lorenz Hart. The entire film takes place over a 2.5-hour period in the bar at Sardi's in 1947.
Oh, brother.
And he's drunk and he's jealous because what's his name? Richard Rogers just made Oklahoma, and it was after he got kicked out. And it's like, I don't freaking care about.
It's too inside baseball.
Yeah, you were crying because you couldn't get the music on the paper for Oklahoma, and they fired you, and they brought in Hart, and Hart did it, and then they won the Tony Award. Who cares? I don't know. I just hate
mean, if well written, you can be made to care about anything. But.
That's true too. So I haven't seen Sinners yet. I'm going to try to watch that, and I want to see Marty Supreme as well.
I'm very curious about your thoughts with Sinners. I mean, obviously, everybody loves that movie.
Yeah.
I thought it was pretty good. I think it's one of those movies that has great tone. But American movies are plot centric, and I don't think the plot's that great.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So we'll see.
We'll see
what you think. We'll never mind the Oscars. Let's see where the Johnnies go this year. All right. So should we talk about Greenland a little bit? Knock that off.
Yeah. We really should.
Okay,
Yes.
so basically, the Greenland crisis is either over or is in stasis for the time being. The markets have bounced back. The tariffs have been de-announced from Europe and from the White House. So life goes on. What's in this "quote unquote" framework that apparently made Donald Trump back down is apparently an agreement that the United States would get effective sovereignty over an area of Greenland surrounding a military base, perhaps the one that's already there, maybe more than one. But basically, this would be considered American territory in the same way that a U.S. embassy overseas is considered American territory.
Yeah.
Am I getting that right, John?
That is exactly right.
So
Yeah.
that's a big reduction in expectation from "I want the entire country. We
Mhm.
must have it all for our national security." How does Donald Trump? I don't know. How does he? I know how he justifies it. I just don't know how he justifies it tactically.
Yes.
I mean, because people are going to look at that and say, "Well, you said that we needed the entire thing, or the Russians or the Chinese were going to run roughshod over us, and the next thing you know, we'd all be speaking Mandarin in Manhattan." And it's like, turns out, well, no, actually, we just really only want like effective control over this little patch of ice. I mean, that's a big difference.
On this one, Ted, I think Donald Trump comes out of it weaker. Everybody agrees that, Trump talks really tough, scares the hell out of everybody, goes into negotiations, backs off, and comes out with something that he can claim victory over. I think that he underestimated European unity on this.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He could not bully his way into, because remember, just yesterday, he said that he would not use military force, but that we will have Greenland. Those were his words.
One way or the other.
We will have, and we don't have Greenland. And
No.
what he ended up with is what you and I predicted, frankly.
Yeah.
And that's access to rare earth metals.
That's right. Which, frankly, he could have had anyway.
He could have had anyway.
Without any of this.
No, all he had to do was make a phone call to the Danes and say, listen, up by the Arctic Circle, we're going to start doing some drilling.
Yeah.
That's all he had to say.
If you want, we'll kick it. We'll kick 10% over to you guys. Yeah. No, that's it. Yeah, I agree with you. That's not going to be. I mean, the thing is, I don't know how much. I feel like Donald Trump wings it, and that can be a superpower.
Yes.
He wings everything, but I don't think he's looking ahead. This is, the rest of the world, countries that are 2,000 years old, like in Europe, they're sitting around thinking, okay, this is going to have something that's going to come up again, where Trump is going to be ranting and raving about how he has to have this and that. And we'll remember what happened with Greenland. It turned out he didn't really have to have this and that. And so
that's right.
And if he really does need it, it's not going to read that way. That's the problem.
That's right. But beyond that, I think he's done real damage, like potentially lasting damage to our foreign relations with our European allies.
And I would say, and even more importantly, to credibility. But I agree with you. For sure, he's damaged relations. Yeah. I mean, they can't fucking stand him over there.
Yeah, they do. They hate him. They hate him.
Yeah, I mean, he's like they used to say in the 70s, rude, crude, and socially unacceptable. Okay, so if we'll revisit that. Yes, Robbie, we will take that ad whenever let me know when you post it, and will not like dawdle this time. Okay. Sultanics, good morning to you as well. How does one remain civil when interacting with Israel supporters? It's becoming increasingly difficult not to spit in their face in real life when I see their bigoted genocide supporting posts. And I think the broader question is, how do you remain civil when you talk to people whose politics you abhor? And that's a good question.
That's a good question. May I take a stab at it?
Please.
This was never a problem for me until about a year ago.
Oh, John, hold that thought. We have the ad.
Good. Okay.
And you can do it. They can cancel your accounts, freeze your cards, decide what you're allowed to buy, say, or support. Big banks and financial institutions have real control, and they use it. That's why financial independence matters more now than ever, introducing Rumble Wallet. a non-custodial wallet built for real freedom. With Rumble Wallet, you control your money, not a bank, not a government, not a tech company. Buy digital assets like Tether Gold, and Bitcoin in one place. No permission, no middlemen, no cancel button. Rumble Wallet isn't about politics. It's about freedom, ownership, and protecting what's yours. So take control today. Download Rumble Wallet now and step away from the big banks for good. True ownership, true protection, true financial freedom. And that's it. Yeah. One little bit of housekeeping, by the way. DMZ America is going to be at 2 p.m. today, Eastern, not 11 a.m. Anyway, John, go ahead with your answer to that question. How do you how do you keep control when you're confronting someone like that? And you said it wasn't a problem until a year ago.
It wasn't a problem until a year ago. And the battle lines are so clearly drawn that my very best friend in the world, right? He and I just agreed that we're not going to talk about this anymore because he is so ardently Zionist, which is funny because he's Irish.
Yeah, I don't understand.
I don't get it. He's so ardently Zionist. He finally just came out and said, look.
Maybe that's more authentic, though, than just like, I'm Jewish, therefore.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sure. Okay. He said, I'll be honest with you. He said, and I won't say this in public. He said, I won't say it to anybody else. I genuinely don't give a shit about the Palestinians. That's what he told them.
I actually admire his honesty, although that's fucked up.
It's fucked up. And so we just agreed not to talk about it anymore. I have another friend on Facebook who not only is so ardently Zionist, but born and raised an American citizen, joined the IDF and did his whatever it was, 13 months, and then came back. And he has said on Facebook repeatedly that anybody who speaks one word against Israel will be blocked. And I DM'd him and I said, buddy, block me now. Because
save you the trouble.
Yeah, I'm not going to help you cover up for genocide. And so we're just not friends anymore.
Yeah. But how do you control yourself? I mean,
I end up having to walk away, literally or figuratively, walk away. Mm-hmm. We're at the point, we're so far after October 7th that I'm not going to convince anybody. And they're not going to, if you look at the news and you look at these videos and the genocide that is unfolding before our eyes is not offensive to you, I can't convince you otherwise. And we probably shouldn't be friends.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I mean, so I have, friends who are ardently Zionist as well. DMZ co-host Scott Stantis is Zionist. And although he has come to see it as a genocide and has become very critical of Israel, he was just late to the party. But I guess,
okay. No, that's cool.
But in politics, honestly, we got to welcome the wins, right? I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to convince people to change their minds. If they do, we can't give them a hard time for being slow about it. So I'm glad about that. But I got to say, whenever, for me, I will still be your friend if you have an opinion like that I just despise. But I got to admit, it's going to be like hearing that you like crack or that you like to fuck dogs or something.
Right.
I'll think less of you. I mean,
yeah.
I won't tell you. I'll just be like, it's in the back of my head. Like, when he says, "Oh, I like this movie," I'll be like, "This guy who fucks dogs and thinks that Israel is okay." So you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of like, it's just sort of in my back pocket.
Hey, let me add something then. So I recently signed a sponsorship contract with kind of a famous right-wing cell phone company. Mm-hmm. For John Kiriakou's Dead Drop, the one that's on Apple Podcasts. And a very close friend of mine said, "So you're hawking these cell phones now?" And I said, "Yeah, they're one of my sponsors. And I believe in cell phone privacy and all that stuff. Scrambling your communications."
Oh yeah, me too.
And he said, "Well, that their biggest outlay is to this pastor at some mega church in Texas. And he was one of the first people that they signed on. And so like everybody in this church has these phones and blah, blah, blah." I said, "I don't care." And he said, no. The guy was just arrested and charged with 2 counts of pedophilia. He's like, "Are you sure?" And they're sticking with him. the cell phone company. You sure you want to be with a company that's going to stick by the pedophile? I was like, oh shit. There was like potentially a lot of money involved here, so I'm going to have to withdraw.
You'll have to part ways.
I have to.
I mean, you could. Yeah. I mean, you could certainly validate it to yourself or justify it to yourself or rationalize it by saying, "Oh, this is like I'm not doing it." It's like, I mean, if you had AT&T as a sponsor, God knows how many things AT&T is involved in that you and I would both find disgusting. But like, I mean, it's kind of like not our decision. I don't know. These things are hard. That's why ethics are interesting. Gary Murphy, T-Force Q, John Robert Maxwell had connections to the Mossad. Ghislaine Maxwell was Robert's daughter. Jeffrey Epstein was connected with the Mossad and was Epstein's partner. So could Ghislaine have been Epstein's handler?
Yeah, it's possible. Keep in mind that so many of these other intelligence services, these foreign intelligence services, are far more patient than we are. We have a 2-year tour or 3-year tour overseas. You want to make those recruitments and then move on to the next country. The Israelis, the Russians, the Chinese, they'll work on a case for years and years
with the same handler.
And keep people in place. So yeah, I think frankly she was in love with him. I think that's what it was. But it's absolutely possible that she could have been his handler. Yes.
Flanderina, so many Gazans have no interest in leaving, but Israel is determined to make it as miserable as possible to try to break their spirit, of course. And they're not going to leave.
Ted,
they've been through too much.
Have you looked at Jared Kushner's plan for development of Gaza? I only looked at the map. What do you think of it? I haven't read the article yet.
Well, it looks a lot like like that video. All that we're missing are the gold statues of Trump. I mean, look, it basically is missing something. The Gazans. This is all external financing. It's so, exploitative. And first of all, it's not, I mean, it's a violation of international law. It's theft. It's effective. It's basically fiscal annexation is the way I read it. I thought it was disgusting, to be honest.
Yeah.
Hey, Catherine Hedrick, is it ever worth sacrificing your principles in pursuit of a worthy goal? Where's the line? Well, we all sacrifice our principles sometimes by living in the system, unless you're like Ted Kaczynski living in the middle of the forest. You're going to end up making compromises every single fucking day. If I saw an ICE officer, I would have a tremendous urge to beat the shit out of them, but I wouldn't. That's such an important of a worthy goal. Depends on what the goal is. How worthy. You're weighing things. I don't know, John. What do you think?
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I'm very upset about not just about the actions that we're seeing unfold before our eyes day in and day out. I'm very, very disturbed by some of these court decisions allowing essentially unfettered access to people's private homes.
Well, let's talk about that, right? So that's a big thing that happened. God bless the whistleblowers, and 2 of them,
amen,
said that that basically revealed to the Washington Post exclusively that there was an ICE document that came out a few months ago, I guess in March, that advised all ICE officers and agents. What's the difference between an officer and an agent? Can you clarify that? Okay,
no idea.
Anyway, officers and agents that they are, contrary to what we've all been told since the beginning of the year, that they don't need a warrant to go into an alleged deportee's house. They can just break down the door and go in. Now,
that's it.
John, what I don't understand is the practical aspect of this. Like so much of American law and practice, it doesn't make sense to me. If you one of the points of having a warrant is that you're able to attest to, as a law enforcement agency, to a judge.
That's right.
That who is the person that you're seeking, and what they did allegedly. Right. Okay, so in this case, though, there's nothing to say they can just break down anyone's door, yours, mine, anyone's, and
just like that,
and just go in and hope to find someone that they're looking for.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't need a warrant, then you don't you just go in anywhere you want, right? I mean,
Well, and one of the
Fourth
things,
Amendment is no more.
why this is confusing to me is there are a lot of states in America that have stand your ground laws. So on the one hand, ICE is allowed to just bust into your house. On the other hand, you're allowed to shoot people busting into your house.
Yeah, that's true.
So is that what we have now?
Well,
that we're going to have shootouts in people's homes?
Well, we probably will. I keep thinking that's inevitable. I mean, John, when I was so I'm from Dayton, as you know, and a number of years ago, I think like 25 years ago, this black guy living in a shitbag neighborhood in West Dayton was sitting at home with his family, and then the cops raided his house. It was the wrong address. They were looking for a drug house, one of those things. The guy availed himself of his Second Amendment privileges. The cops didn't identify themselves. They weren't wearing any insignia. They didn't have badges or anything. They just broke in. He thought it was a home invasion. He shot one of the fuckers to death. And the thing is, he went to trial. He walked because, and rightly so. Now, that said, the Dayton Police Department drove him out of town. Basically,
sure.
Every time he pulled out of his driveway, they pulled him over, broke his headlights, and said, "Oh, you have a busted headlight. You're not allowed to drive." I mean, they just harassed him until he left. But the point is, he didn't go to prison. I mean, that's the law, right? I mean, and if I'm an ICE officer, even no matter how gung ho and steroided up we are, and we have to talk about this steroid thing, like. I'm thinking this decision, this memo is imperiling me. It's putting me in danger of not being able to come home to my family at night. I mean, it's reckless from ICE's standpoint.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's really stupid. Did you see this article in? It was Thomas Edsall in the New York Times op-ed over the weekend. Blinken, you missed it. You were away. I highly recommend that you check it out if you haven't read it yet. But basically, it was a searing indictment of ICE and their practices. And it talked about, among other things, the fact that these guys are recruited from the worst of the worst. These are people who've been fired from police departments for incompetence. Many of them are illiterate. They can't read or write English.
That's an ongoing theme.
Yeah. Many of them are, and they're being recruited using Third Reich propaganda. So, for example, in the famous poster from Hitler's election, one Ein Reich, ein Volk, ein Führer, one nation, one people, one leader. They're using that same exact rhetoric, but in English, obviously, to appeal to the alt-right, as they call it, to the far right. They're recruiting neo-Nazis on purpose. They're using all sorts of, in the social media feeds from ICE and on Truth Social and so on. They're showing imagery that's very it's all white. It's very Norman Rockwell. I mean, all the dog whistles are there. Like, we be a bunch of white Nazis, and we're cleaning out the ethnics here. And they're all hopped up on steroids, it turns out, which of course makes you aggressive and violent. Yes. This is scary as shit. And I think the violence has barely begun.
I think so too. I think it's only going to get worse. And the Washington Post yesterday had something on the front page that I mentioned offhandedly in the show. Texas has 10 times more undocumented migrants or illegal aliens as Minnesota does. Florida has 20 times more than Minnesota does. So why is Minnesota under military occupation?
Because of because of the BLM protests. This is about right-wing lore.
Exactly.
And the tactics are really getting disgusting. In Minneapolis, a 5-year-old boy coming home from pre-K was intercepted by ICE, and the ICE officer said, "Go and knock on the door so that your daddy answers." And then the father did, and they detained and are deporting both the dad and the 5-year-old. This is pretty fucking bad. And then there's the El Paso situation where 2 eyewitnesses swore that they saw ICE officers beating and strangling another detainee to death, a Cuban guy, Geraldo Campos.
Yep.
And and the medical examiner, ruled that this is a
homicide. Yeah. But Homeland Security said no, he killed himself. He
strangled
suicide.
himself to death, as one does.
Yeah, with his hands.
This reminded me a little bit of the killing of the FBI assassinations of Fred Hampton and the other in the COINTELPRO, right? The Black Panthers. They were the medical examiner in Cook County in Chicago courageously examined the bodies and determined that at least some of the victims were asleep in their beds. When I don't know how you can tell that, but there's some way you can tell that. And this is a uptight, stick up his ass Republican white medical examiner who was just like, I'm not covering for the government here.
Exactly.
So God bless him too, and God bless this medical examiner in El Paso.
Yeah.
I mean, the heat's going to be coming down, but I mean, this is ugly.
This is hideous. Yes. And again, we're at this weird stage in our history where we have to rely on the wisdom of the courts more than at any time in the past. And there is no wisdom in the courts.
No. Although I guess we could, this does lead us to segue to shortly. I don't think it requires a lot of discussion, but Lisa Cook, the Fed chairman board member, whom basically Donald Trump decided he didn't like, maybe in part because of her skin color. Basically the Supreme Court had oral arguments yesterday, and they seemed leaning strongly against allowing Trump to fire her. I would presume that would also make it hard for him to fire Jerome Powell, as he would like to do. So it seems that the Supreme Court does have a limit, which is when it comes to separation of powers. They don't care about the president's right to kidnap the presidents of other countries, but they do care about the president's rights to fuck around with monetary policy.
Yeah, crazy, just crazy.
It's all about the money in this country.
Yeah, it really is.
First and foremost.
It really is. I don't know. What can you say?
All right, let's do more questions. Babylon Don, do we think Detroit is coming back?
I was in Detroit recently. It didn't look like it was coming back to me, but maybe that's just me. I have no point of reference. I have some cousins there who own a restaurant in what used to be Greektown. I mean, now Greektown is just one city block, and it's surrounded by some of the worst area I've ever been in.
I've been to Detroit a few times. I got to say, John,
the art museum is first class.
Oh, that's true. And also, I strongly recommend the Ford Museum. If JFK's car that he died in is in there, and Rosa Parks' bus.
Wow,
it's fucking cool. That's a great museum.
Oh,
I highly recommend it.
I took my kids. My eldest son was a nationally ranked debater. He once won the national championships his senior year of high school. So we went to his junior year of high school. We went to the national championships in Birmingham, Alabama. So we drove down there. My three eldest sons and I drove down there, and we had a little bit of downtime. So we went to the Civil Rights Museum, and they had a burned out bus on display that Klansmen had thrown Molotov cocktails into and killed like six African Americans inside the bus. And they had the whole burned out bus right there on display.
I love that. That's awesome.
Oh, I do too. It was amazing.
I like stuff like that.
I do too.
Have you ever been to Oradour in France?
No.
So June 10th, 1944, 4 days after D-Day, the German 2nd SS Panzer Division surrounded this little village in southern France near Limoges, and basically ordered all of the townspeople into the church, set it on fire, and then killed everyone. I think only 6 people survived. And anyway, the French government ordered, when they came across it, that it be preserved, the whole town that was burned basically almost to the ground, to just leave it as is. And so you can walk around the town. There's still a tram that was stopped in the middle of the street when the events started happening. The post office looks exactly like any other post office in France, but with like out of town, domestic, and it's the slots are right there. It's spooky. There's baby carriages in the rubble just like rusting away, old cars in the driveways of the houses. It was a well-off little town. And nobody really even knows exactly. It's probably a reprisal by accident, because there's like Oradour-sur-Glane, which is where this happened. And there had been a resistance attack against the Germans at another town called Oradour-sur, the name of another river. And probably the Germans got the name wrong, and they decided to fuck up that one. But anyway, yeah.
They did that all over Greece too, where they would take all the men,
mm-hmm.
Shoot them all in a line after forcing them to dig a pit for their own graves,
mm-hmm.
and then take all the women and children, put them in the church, and then set the church on fire.
And these are the people that we put in charge of the European Union.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The Greeks still hate Germans, like even German tourists.
I mean, I know they're different. It's not the same. It's not fair. It's not fair, but it's also not surprising.
No.
Tatum Hedrick, what are the top distractions in today's politics, and what are they trying to suppress the most? I'd argue it's all distraction, right? I mean, what did we learn politics were supposed to be when we were kids, John? It was supposed to be Democrats and Republicans getting together and making a case like about what our biggest problems were and how they were going to solve them, right?
Yeah.
They don't do that. That's not what they do.
No.
I mean, how much, they talk about affordability. I mean, neither party comes up with anything approaching a credible plan to address them.
No, sir.
And, what do we care about? We care about healthcare. We care about being able to send our kids to college without going into debt. We care about taking care of our elderly parents. Immigration is like a side issue. It's a distraction. It's all these cultural issues are side issues and distractions. And some of them are real issues. Immigration's a real issue, but it's still not a main issue.
Yes.
I think it's all distraction, right? I mean, honestly, Greenland is a fucking distraction.
I agree.
Wars are a distraction.
Yes, indeed. I agree. Hey, thanks to Mike in Nottingham, who sent us $20.
Thanks, Mike.
And he says, John, how many clubs are in the CIA? I think I heard you on a podcast say that the CIA wives had a cookbook. P.S. SpongeBob looks terrifying. If you're coming out of a coma after being shot 3 times and you see SpongeBob, yes, terrifying.
Well, just because he completely brought home the total, this is America. I am now in the clutches of America.
That's what I say in my interviews, that you could see the exact instant that he realized, oh my God, the Americans have me.
Because it could not be. I mean, the thing is, there's weird T-shirts all over the world that people buy at like bazaars, because like when you donate a car, when you dump your old T-shirt into like the church donation box on the side of the highway, that there's a strong chance it'll end up at a bazaar in like Bangladesh.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And
yes.
You see like scrawny like dudes and kids wearing these weird T-shirts. Like, why are you wearing like a Rangers shirt?
Well, for the Super Bowl or the World Series, they'll print T-shirts, thousands of T-shirts for both teams, right? Having won the Super Bowl,
just in case, right?
Just in case, so that they're ready. The minute that the game's over, the shirts are out there. So what do they do with all the shirts that have the wrong winner on them? They just donate them, and they end up in third world countries. And so there are guys in Africa with world champion Cleveland Browns,
Yeah.
That's
and
never
the thing
happened.
But that's the thing is, if you do look at, you don't have to travel to these places, although I recommend that you do. But like, if you just look at pictures, crowd scenes, there's certain things you won't see, like say a Bart Simpson shirt or a SpongeBob shirt. For some reason, those are just like not the things that end up in those bazaars.
No. Let me answer Mike's question too, about clubs at the CIA. There are dozens and dozens of clubs. When I first joined, it was all sports leagues, right? So I was in the CIA softball league for years. And there were 6 teams or 8 teams were all playing each other. And then there's
what was your position, John?
I was always an outfielder, and usually right field. So that grew almost exponentially to the point where there's like the quilt making club and the LGBTQ club and the
The torturers
choir.
club.
Yeah, right. The choir and the cooking club. And listen, if there's anything in life that you want to do on your own time, the CIA made a club for it. That way you socialize only with CIA people. You're all cleared so you can talk about work, and they don't have to worry about outsiders being privy to something they shouldn't be privy
John, do you
to.
think Silicon Valley was inspired by that? Because the CIA
Absolutely.
model is much older, but Silicon Valley, like the Google campus or the Apple campus, they do the same thing, right? Everything's in situ, and they want you to date each other.
Yeah.
And do your laundry there.
Absolutely.
There.
Absolutely. They're constantly marrying each other. I've said before, we used to have this joke at the agency that when you go into a meeting, don't touch the table because you don't know who was having sex on it last night.
Well, that's how it was at Bear Stearns too. Yeah, I remember seeing some mystery spots on the blotter. Oh my God. All right. So, Kabush Shatting, I'm probably mispronouncing, but who cares? You guys think NATO's threats to close U.S. military bases are serious or only grandstanding? If they do it, what will be the consequences for the U.S.? I wish they would.
I don't think they will, though. Do you?
No. Are you kidding? There's too much money involved for all concerned.
Agreed.
Yeah, it's a grift.
Agreed.
The threat is vacuous and empty. Thinking more about Detroit, I was just thinking, 15 years ago, I was on book tour, and this is the only place that what I'm about to say has ever happened to me. I was the subject of a very lame carjacking attempt. I rented my car from the Detroit airport to go into town. Detroit, the airport, like in most towns, is outside of town. And it's kind of like just this bleak, empty deathscape. I get into the car, and there's this car driving in front of me really slow. It's a 4-lane road, right? Actually, that's not true. It's like a 2-lane road. And the guy's going, and it's really slow, like a low rider. And, I'm a New Yorker. I'm like, oh, I'm not waiting here. So anyway, they stop. And I'm like, I figured they were in distress or whatever. So I just go around them. And as I go around them, they get out of their cars with guns, 2 guys. And I'm just and then they see me and they're like, oh, he drove away. It never occurred to them that you could cross a yellow, their only paint is paint, yellow paint. I'm just going to go around.
Oh my God.
And ain't no one else here. And even if there were someone there, I'm going to drive around you. And I'm just and they had the that pig dumb look that some people have on their.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of dum-dums out there.
Yeah, they were both dum-dums. Yeah. I'm sure they ended up in prison within weeks after this incident.
Oh my God. Hey, real quickly, I want to blow my own horn here. I've got this podcast called John Kiriakou's Dead Drop on Apple Podcasts. We've got, I think it's 10 full-length episodes and 3 or 4 shorts. I hit number 8 in the world yesterday. I had been in the 90s. Occasionally, I'd make it down into the 70s. I had one night in the 50s. It was number 56. The last 2 days, I've been number 10 and then number 8, getting 7,000 downloads an hour. I don't know why. It's just one of those algorithm things. Thank you. But I'm really excited about it. If you haven't checked it out, it's on Apple Podcasts, John Kiriakou's Dead Drop.
Go check it out, everyone.
Thank you.
Jackson Tart, I see you talk about how the CIA recruits sociopaths or people with those tendencies. Did you ever see those kind of people in the rest of the intelligence community? Wouldn't the whole intelligence community be full of them?
That's a good question. And the answer really is no, because the other members of the intelligence community are not specifically tasked with breaking the law. Right? Your job is to go overseas and commit espionage. It is to break laws no matter where you happen to be. And other intelligence organizations don't do that. They're mostly involved in analysis, mostly. There's, Defense Human Services, they do some spying. But the job of the CIA is to go out there and break into houses and offices and plant bugs and videos and get people to commit treason. So it's kind of unique in that respect.
JoeCon762, hi guys, great show, great shirt. How can ICE enter
Thank
your
you.
house without a warrant
I know, right?
and without exigent circumstances? Well, I mean, this reminds me, John, of like the torture memo signed by written by John Yoo back during the Bush years. Anyone can write a fucking memo, right? It's just it's some fucking lawyer at ICE or for ICE wrote it. Doesn't mean it has the force of law. It's guidance. It's interpretation. Presumably, someone who's the victim of a Fourth Amendment violating, search and seizure is going to go to court, and then the courts will adjudicate this, right? I mean, hopefully a judge would do the right thing, and hopefully the memo would then become invalidated. Isn't that what? That's what we would hope.
Hopefully, yeah, right.
But how can they do it? That's the thing people don't understand, right? It's like, well, basically, your rights can be violated at any time by any government official or employee. And how can that be? Because you have to enforce it in a court of law. It's kind of like, well, can I sue? Yeah, you can sue. You may not win. Unfortunately, I mean,
that's the situation we're in these days. Yeah.
Jackson McGrath. John, what do you think about the Israeli Minister of Defense in Greece possibly getting arrested? And do you think the Clinton kill count is real?
I don't think the Clinton kill count is real. I think that's kind of a...
What's that, by the way?
Red herring. It's the list of all the people that the Clintons are supposedly guilty of having killed over the years. Yeah, like Vince, right. Foster, thank you. In Greece, there is a genuine split where the vast majority of the Greek people are pro-Palestine, and the Greek government is solidly pro-Israel. And they're pro-Israel for one reason: money. Now, Turkey used to be strongly pro-Israel, and so the Greeks were strongly pro-Palestine. The PLO had an embassy in Athens. All the Arab groups, PFLP, PFLPGC, DFLP, Abu Nidal, everybody, they had an office in Athens, and they could come and go as they pleased. But then when Erdogan did a flip-flop, a 180 on Israel, and became pro-Hamas and anti-Israel, the Greeks then did a flip-flop because they didn't want to be on the same side with the Turks. And that coincided with a period where the Cypriots found that they were sitting on top of a vast ocean of oil and natural gas. And so the Greeks partnered with the Cypriots, the Egyptians, and the Israelis to lift the gas and endorsed Israel. For many years, the Greeks didn't even have an embassy in Tel Aviv, and the Israelis didn't have an embassy in Athens. And so they flipped.
Some breaking news. A woman who led an anti-ICE protest at a church in Minnesota, I should say, has been arrested, according to Attorney General Pam Bondi. They had investigated her for, I guess, sort of terrorizing the church. It was a peaceful protest, though.
Yeah, it was peaceful.
So that really does feel like a frightening violation of the First Amendment.
Yeah. For me personally, I would never protest inside somebody's church.
Ditto.
And just for me personally, and I know my friends at Code Pink disagree with me very strongly, I would never protest at somebody's home. I just think it's bad form.
I agree with that too.
It's legal, of course. The Supreme Court decided on it, but I just think it's bad form.
It is, and you're terrorizing people's kids.
Yeah.
And also the problem is you might not mean any harm, but some of the people that join you might.
That's right.
It crosses it doesn't cross a legal line. It crosses an ethical line. But I agree with that. Desert Fox, Trump is looking for decisive action on Iran, according to antiwar.com. What do you think, especially given recent developments in Syria, Somalia, the UAE? I know this is broad. I haven't changed my mind from when we talked about this a couple of days ago. I think Iran's currently on the back burner.
Although Trump ordered the USS Abraham Lincoln to move into the region.
Right.
It's going to take a week or two to get there.
Right.
But yeah,
currently is the key word.
Yeah, currently. I agree with you. It's currently on the back burner.
Not gone forever. John, I know you can't name names, says Tatum Hedrick, but what kind of sources do you have as a respected former CIA officer living around DC? Are you still, and are you still getting surveilled?
Oh, I'm not getting surveilled. That stopped around 2016, early 2017. My sources actually are surprisingly good for a couple of reasons. There's a core of people inside the intelligence community that really loves what I did. And so I'm good with them. The people at the agency with whom I was truly friends, I'm still friends with. So those relationships are good. And now there's this generation of young people who joined the CIA just, in the last 10 years, who really do want to change it from the inside. And they're supporters of mine. In fact, there are 6 people that I have given advice to over the years who have actually made it through the process and have gotten hired inside the agency. So things are good. My reputation is good. I'm now seen as a whistleblower there and not as, whatever, an idiot, a traitor, whatever. And yeah, I'm happy with the way things have turned out.
John from Cataract, do you have thoughts on ex-CIA analyst Sarah Adams' prediction of a 9/11 October 7th 2.0 attack?
Yes, I have very strongly held opinions on Sarah Adams. Sarah Adams was an analyst not in the CIA's Directorate of Intelligence. She was an analyst in an office called opensource.gov. She only read press reports. She had no
She was
access.
Robert Redford in 3 Days of the Condor.
That's exactly what she was. She had no access to classified information. And then she resigned. And she's trying to make it as a podcaster / commentator / writer. The way she makes a living is by being as extreme as possible in her analysis. And so constantly saying, we're headed to another 9/11. That's what gets her media appearances. I think she's, number one, completely full of shit. Number 2, overstating her credentials. And number 3, just simply wrong on her conclusions.
Okay. Well, I like your, yeah, by the way, the thing is, everyone's always predicting some kind of anniversary attack.
Yep.
It's like the oldest thing in the book, and I know anniversaries attacks have occurred, but I don't think they, whenever they're predicted, they never occur, I think.
Totally agree.
Do you think Tulsi is doing a good job? Would you like working under her if you started your career today in the CIA?
I would like to work under her. I'm disappointed, though, in Tulsi over the past 6 or 8 months. I really expected serious restructuring in the CIA, real changes in rules, and we just haven't seen it. And then what was the event? What did Trump do? Was it not bombing Iran? It was something that he did recently where everybody was at the White House except Tulsi. She was home in Hawaii on vacation. So yeah, I'm a little disappointed.
Lemon curd sandwich. Do we think American citizens know exactly what Gaza looks like? 2 billion civilians walled into 10 miles, entire walls, imprisoned population for years and years. They can't leave, even if they desperately want to. No, they don't have any most Americans don't have a fucking clue. If they did, they would howl to the moon.
That's right.
Did we see Prime Minister Carney's speech from Davos? I thought it was unusually honest and eloquent. Nice to hear IQ and a leader's rhetoric for a change. I thought it was a good speech.
I agree. Donald Trump didn't.
No, he wasn't a big fan, as he likes to say. John, Dalton Sparks is dual majoring with Anthro and International Affairs at the Bush School at Texas A&M. With 20 required credits in Arabic. Is this competitive for the intel and diplomatic careers?
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. Good on you.
Josh Buck, what are the chances that ICE starts, quote unquote, suspecting that immigrants are living in the houses of political enemies?
That's what I'm afraid of. That's exactly the issue. That's what I'm afraid of.
And it's
because then
punishable by 5 years in prison to harbor someone who ICE is looking for.
5 years in prison. So then what happens to our civil liberties? We just walk away from them.
Dalton Sparks, big fan of you three and an avid listener. Ted, how could I buy an autographed cartoon from me? Contact me. Go to rawl.com/contact and we'll talk about it. Let's see. Thanks for the $5 from Dalton Sparks.
Thank you, Dalton.
Aren't you worried that all these ICE officers are there to push violence? Can't you see this as positioning for the National Guard, full control, martial law to stop the midterms and force no vote? I 6 months ago would have thought these were the rantings of a paranoid madman, and now I think it's likelier than not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm less than 50. I am not, let me put it this way. I'm less than 50% sure. I'm less than 100% sure we're going to have an election this fall. I'd say I'm more than 50% sure.
Wow, man.
I don't think I would have said that.
Scary stuff.
Okay, so it's 9:59. We're almost done here. So let's see. Time for one more. Anyone who attends evangelical church will get your phones captured. There's a massive push for Israeli ideology pushed into the church. Beware.
Yes, that's true.
That's true.
I've heard that a number of times.
And Dalton Sparks, thank you so much for the $4.99. I think I did already mention that already. All right, guys, that does it for today's show. But we're going to be back tomorrow, Friday, to wrap up the week at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. John, thanks as always.
Good to see you, Ted.
Please stay tuned for the TMI show with Manila Chan and myself at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Scott Stantis and I will be bringing you the DMZ America podcast. Next week, we'll have Mr. Fish, the cartoonist, joining us at 11 a.m. Eastern. Anyway, okay, that's a lot of housekeeping. John, see you later, and see you tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.